Allergic reactions to nail enhancements, so products like gel polish, rubber bases, builder gels, they are very sadly becoming more and more common. So this is when you get redness, inflammation around the nails, blisters, a lot of pain, and it can get really, really serious. By the way, my name is Anna. I'm a nail technician of over 25 years, and I used to specialize a lot in enhancements, so gels, acrylic, things like that. But now I mostly work with natural nails. I just love natural nails. But many of you are asking about gels, gel polish, so this is a very, very important information for everyone to know. The majority of these problems do happen because of improper application and not knowing how these products work. So the advice that many people take to heart is to avoid skin contact. But unfortunately, not too many people know how the skin contact actually happens. They think it happens when you are polishing the nails and you are actually touching the skin around the nails with the gel polish, and that's not how it happens. So I got a very good question from one of our new viewers, so welcome to the channel. So she says, if we used a latex or non-latex skin barrier on our PNL, so proximal nail fold area and sidewalls, so basically the skin around the nails, and then we use gel polish on them, would it help to keep the acrylates from touching the skin and help to avoid exposure this way? As you can see, many people think that the skin exposure is when you are actually polishing and you accidentally are touching the skin, and that's not how it happens. So let me explain, let me show you 6 different ways of how the skin exposure can happen. So first of all, it's very important to understand that we need to avoid skin contact with uncured gel or improperly cured gel, and many people don't know about that. So uncured product, and why? Uncured product is reactive, and once it's cured, once it's properly cured, it becomes a plastic, and then you can't be really allergic to it. But the problem is that these products never really cure completely, but that's a story for another video. So how can you make a skin contact? Number one, when you are soaking the product off, so when you are removing it. And after the removal, very often people get the inflammation, the redness, things get worse, and then they blame the acetone because they used acetone to remove it. But it's not the acetone that's causing the issue, it's what the acetone is actually dissolving. So if the product that you had on your nails was not properly cured, then those uncured pieces are getting dissolved in acetone, and then you have that reactive soup sitting on your skin for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And all of these irritating ingredients are soaking into your skin. And eventually, your body says, I've had enough. So this is number one. Number two, many times people say, okay, I'm not going to soak off, I'm going to file off. This is better. And there's a lot of people that prefer filing off because they don't want to mess with acetone. So filing off is not a solution, unfortunately, because if the gel was not cured properly and there are pieces of improperly cured gel, so when you file into this improperly cured product, sometimes even if you have little pockets of improperly cured product, you are literally grinding all that uncured product into the air, and then you have microscopic particles of this reactive improperly cured gel flying all over the place, and you're breathing it in. The tiny little dust particles are landing on your skin. Usually people then have reaction underneath their eyes because the skin is very thin, sometimes on their neck or on their chest. And then obviously on their hands, because the majority of the product ends up either on a nail technician's hand or on the client's hand, and their skin is still getting exposed to acrylates. Number three, and not too many people know about it. So all these products are actually designed to be used on, get this, normal and healthy nails. And usually it's the opposite. People get these products applied on their nails because their nails are thin and damaged. They want to make their nails stronger. So what happens is, especially if the nail is thinned out and you are applying this product, there are bonding ingredients in that product that have very, very small molecules. And if that nail is severely thinned out, basically what happens is that that product is those very irritating ingredients, those bonding ingredients, these acrylates, are actually penetrating through that very thin nail plate, very porous nail plate, and they actually end up making contact with the nail bed underneath. And this is when you sometimes can get the onycholysis, so the separation of the natural nail from your nail bed. And the nail bed then very often too gets thicker because it's just your body trying to protect itself from these ingredients. So it's actually refusing the nail. It's trying to get away from that nail. So very often people are actually losing their nails. That's how bad the separation gets. Number 4, it can also happen when you are wiping the sticky layer of the nails, of the gel. So the sticky layer is uncured layer of gel. If you soak your pad with alcohol to wipe off the uncured sticky coat, you are now flooding the skin with all these uncured ingredients mixed with alcohol. And this is why, personally, I usually wipe the nails twice, and I make sure that I wipe away from the nail, and I don't rub that sticky layer of the gel into the skin. So then people say, well, I use the no wipe top coats. Unfortunately, that's not a solution either. It's always something, right? So that's not a solution either, because looking under microscope, these top coats actually don't cure 100% either. It's just that that sticky layer on top of that top coat is very, very thin, and we just don't see it, but it's still there. And now you haven't wiped it, and when you are applying that oil on the nails after the manicure, you are just then rubbing all that very small amount, but still that gel into the skin. So I actually stopped using. C&D also has a no wipe top coat, and I was surprised that they actually came out with that top coat. But that top coat is really, the way I understand it, designed to be rubbing in those pigments into that top coat. So you see there is something left that's rubbery on top of that top coat because it grabs onto that pigment. If you cure the regular top coat and you wipe it and you try to rub in that pigment, it's not going to stay. It's going to just slide right off. But when you're using the wipe-free top coat or no wipe top coat, the pigments will stick to it. So now what I do, I only use it if I want to work with those pigments. So I apply the top coat, the wipe-free top coat, rub in the pigments, and then I apply a regular top coat. 5. And I see that quite a bit working at different trade shows and working as an educator, working with other techs. And I don't want to talk about bad, obviously, about people, but I have noticed this trend that many people just don't realize how careful you have to be when you are working with these products. And I see a lot of people working very carelessly. So what they're doing is they are touching sticky bottles, they're touching their brushes with their hands, with their gloves sometimes, but then they are touching the table, and or the table is getting sticky, and then they go and they put their arm onto the table, and this is how they are getting the skin contact with the product. Also, they're touching the lamps, and now they're touching the client. So all this kind of cross-contamination happens very often. Unfortunately, gloves are not the solution. So gloves do help, but they do not protect from acrylates. They're not the nitrile gloves. Nitrile gloves are not made to protect us from acrylates. And they do work for a little bit. Some sources say that they should be changed every 10 to 15 minutes when you are working with acrylates. Dentists, usually from what I've heard, change their gloves once they make a contact with uncured acrylates. So they take off their contaminated gloves and then they apply another pair. So these gloves have to be changed very often. But usually nail technicians, their service takes 1 to 2 hours, and they're constantly touching the uncured acrylates, and those acrylates go through the gloves 100%. Well, I'm just saying 100% because I know that, because if someone gets allergic to these products and they react to these products, they can even use 2 pairs of gloves and try to touch a bottle of product, and they still will get a reaction. So gloves, unfortunately, are not the solution. We have to remember that they're just not impervious to acrylates, and especially if your hands are sweating in these gloves, because that makes the skin much more susceptible to get irritated from these ingredients. And number 6, it happens when you actually probably touch your skin with the gel, but usually that's not how you make a contact with your skin. Another good topic is how to actually properly cure the gel, because people don't know how to properly cure gel. They just think that you can just paint it on, stick it in any lamp for 2 minutes, look at the gel, touch it, usually with your bare fingers, and say, oh, it's hard. So they think that it's cured, but it's more than that. So if you want me to talk about this topic, please let me know in the comment section and I'll make another video for you, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Bye.